Hey, I'm Brooke. Welcome to my workshop. I love taking old things and finding ways to repurpose and recycle them to give them new life. Today, I'll show you how to take an old lamp and turn it into a pendant lampshade that's sure to make a statement in any room. You can make it boho or modern. The key is making sure it's your style and it fits your personality. This is a super simple DIY project. All you need is an old lampshade and some string, and you can totally transform it. It's all about finding things with good bones so you can revamp it and take it to the next level. All right, let's get started. So we're gonna be using string to create a design around our lamp similar to this. You can experiment, do multiple things. The good thing is if you don't like it, it's just string. You can cut it right off and try something new. The first thing you're gonna need is an old lampshade. You can pick these up at your local thrift store for typically a couple bucks. I picked this one because it has a modern feel since it's narrow and kind of flat. The main thing is to make sure it has good structure. What I mean by that is it needs to have a good metal frame with some pieces on the side that holds it up when you string it. Another option is to put two lampshades together. I put these together here and it kind of gives it more of a lantern look. This is more of a boho vibe, so if you're going for that look, this is a great fit. All right, we've got our lampshade. Now we're just gonna remove the fabric. The one I picked already had some fabric pulling up, so I'm hoping this is easy. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and cut a strip in here so I can start pulling it away. There we go. Now it should be a little easier. All right, that's a good lampshade frame. This is what all the string is gonna attach to. So to see how it's gonna look, I really like to draw it out so I can visualize what the end product will be. All right, this has a very flat bottom, so I'm gonna kind of draw it out from a front 2D version, and then I'm gonna do the above version so I can actually pick my colors and the pattern. The reason I'm doing both of these ways is because sometimes you're just gonna see it from front on. Other times you may be standing up and see it looking down on it. Gotta make sure both versions look good. All right, there's kind of a front view and a top view of everything. Now I just have to figure out how I want the pattern to be with the color. I know these are the colors I'm gonna go with because I have a navy headboard. You can make it more modern or boho. It all depends on what color string you're using and the pattern. It's up to you how you want it to look. Just be creative. But I'm gonna color it out on here so I can see the proportions to each other and figure out the design. All right, I'm gonna start with just this little sliver of orange because I just want a little pop of color. I'm gonna add some navy. I want some tan in here, and then the majority's gonna be white. So since the white coloring pencil doesn't really write on here, I'm just gonna write white. I'll know that's white. I want a good section of it to be navy to match the bed. Let's see. I want a little bit of tan in here. Kind of complements the white on the other side. Probably a little tan in here. Probably go with another section of white and then maybe another little pop of orange. All right, I like how that looks. Now this will be kind of a guide for me. Now I just start stringing away. Since white's gonna be the predominant color on here, I'll start with that and then work off of it. The first thing you've gotta do is make sure you know your starting point and tie a good knot so it doesn't all come undone. You can tie a knot on the front side and then spin the knot to the back side so you're not awkwardly having to tie a knot around your frame. And you can go back and cut all the little tails off at the end too. You can add a dab of hot glue if you want to make sure it doesn't come unraveled. And then comes the fun part, just stringing it up. Now because this has a small hole right here that the light bulb's gonna go through, I obviously can't get my whole thing of string through that center point. So we're just gonna go ahead and wrap the whole bottom section. Don't do it too tightly because we're gonna spread the string back out and then go back to attach the center point when I have single strings instead of the whole roll. So all I'm doing at this point is just wrapping this around. This is a great couch activity. You could do this sitting by the pool, sitting by the fire, standing, whatever you want. This is very simple and it's fun and it's repetitive, so it's easy. So instead of keeping on dropping this every time so I can use both hands, I'm going to just tape this down. It'll make it a little bit easier. All right, back to it. And because it doesn't matter how tight this is as we go, we can push it as we go along. Main thing, just keep stringing this bottom portion. Push it in, keep going. There we go. All right, if you wanted to leave this wide open, you could. I'm gonna push all this string to the middle so you can't see through the lampshade. If you want more of an industrial look, you can go ahead and leave big gaps through it. The designs are endless as long as you do what you wanna do. If you do this and don't like it, cut it with scissors and start over. This is like $3 worth of yarn when it's all said and done. As long as you had fun doing it, that's really all that matters. All right, I'm liking how this is looking. I wanna see it strung to the middle so I can decide if I wanna keep going with white, do less white. I don't wanna get too far before I switch colors. All right, so I'm gonna cut this off and tie it to itself so that I can add a new piece. All right, we can cut that tail off later. Now, because that center is so small, I can't get that through there. I'm gonna just go ahead and take some pieces. You can do this as long as you want. If you're afraid it's gonna get knotted up, do smaller pieces. You can make so many knots through this, it's not gonna be seen as long as you cut those tails short. So we'll start with 2 arms length. We'll tie it to this long tail that we had a minute ago, and then we just string all the way through. So this is my starter string on the outside. I'm gonna separate these 2 pieces from the top and bottom and go ahead and pull this from the bottom up, back through that center hole, all the way through. Then I'm gonna do the same thing over. Separate 2 pieces from the bottom, up, and all the way back through. It's kind of like learning how to tie your shoes. All right, and then you just keep going, over and over and over. This is really, really an easy process to do. And I'm hoping once you get a lampshade done, you'll think about all the other things you can do this on. An old trash can, anything with good bones that you can wrap things around, an old basket that's coming apart. The next thing I know, you're gonna have these all over your house. All right, so this piece is too short to keep going around the top, but if I tie a string right at the very end of it, my knot will be on this outside edge. We don't want that. So I would cut this a little bit short when I tie my next piece of string to it so that you'll never see that knot. All right, I'm really liking how this is looking. I'm just gonna add a little bit more cream before we move on to the next color. All right, I feel good about this cream. Now, I'm gonna introduce navy. I'm gonna do the same thing. Just tie a knot, make multiple passes along the bottom, and then string it through the top. And I'm gonna follow the exact same pattern that I did with the cream, just now with navy. All right, now I'm gonna introduce a new color, and it's this tan. It's a really pretty muted color. It's gonna play well with the cream and the navy, and it's gonna be the same process I've been doing, so let's get to it. So just like before, tie this on, make a couple passes, decide how much you actually want to be shown. All right, I like how this is looking, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull out some so I can start stringing it through the middle. Down and around. To be honest with you, what I like best about this project is it's kind of mindless. You don't have to do too much thinking. It's just kind of getting in the groove, using your hands, repetitive motions. Sometimes your brain needs a break after a long day of work, but you still want to be creative. This is the perfect way to do it. All right, for the rest of this area, I'm just gonna add wedges of different colors to create visual interest. It looks great, but we want some color. So we're gonna add in a little bit of orange, see how it's feeling, and go from there. Navy and orange typically look really good together. I didn't want a super bright orange, wanted it to be a little bit more of a burnt color, and this is a good in-between bright orange and burnt orange color. Kind of pumpkin-y. All right, I feel like that's enough at this point. We might add some more in. I kind of drew it up that way, but I'm gonna go ahead and loop these in. And I'm gonna keep this sliver of orange small because I want a little bit of color, but I don't wanna overwhelm the piece. All right, I think that's enough orange. Time to move on to the finishing touches. All right, a couple more strands of navy, a little bit more orange, and it's finished. When it gets down to it being this small of a section, you just have to do it strand by strand. This looks awesome. Now all you need is your pendant cord and it's ready to hang. We took an old lampshade that should have been tossed into the trash and turned it into this beautiful organic pendant lampshade. It turned out even better than I expected. How's that for a $2 lampshade?